Up here on the screen of your build that I went out to the other day. Tell us a little bit about some of the services you offer. We've also got a couple of people standing up here on stage in some beautiful suits of armour.
Yes, okay. We have done pretty much the whole range of content creation when it comes to Second Life for our clients in world or in real life. Now, the picture you're looking at is basically where our headquarters is Avatrian Central. We opted for more organic-looking builds and not direct replicas of real-life buildings, mainly because it's more of a challenge for us to build these organically shaped buildings from futuristic-looking designs.
So the sim there is basically showing the clients or people the sort of builds that they can choose to have.
Mm-hmm. No, that is more our own space where we have our headquarters there. Here right now we have a picture of our showroom where we showcase some of the terrains that we've created, and that's one of the products that we offer at Avatrian. We do ready-made terrains, which is available to anyone who owns a simulator, and we also provide customization services because a lot of sim owners either don't have the time or don't have the energy to learn how to customize their own terrain. So we do it for them.
Okay, so see this terrain we've got up behind you on the screen. Mm-hmm. When you say that you provide that one, if somebody said, yep, that's the one I want, how does that work? What happens then?
This is actually a great example because we just finished this terrain right here you're seeing on the screen. It's made for two adjacent sims. We did it for this wonderful couple in Second Life. Their name is Kewen and Cariad. And they're using this primarily for their private purposes, right? So the design of the islands here were conceptualized by our client, and they came to us to explain what they wanted to have, and Second Life and Avatrian did this in Second Life as an implementation for them.
But so when somebody orders something like that, someone from your crew basically has to go down and terraform it like that for them?
Yes, exactly. We do a combination of the in-world tools that are built into the Second Life client, but we use it in conjunction with third-party software, for example, like Bryce and Photoshop, because that's how we get a much richer implementation. The tools that are built into Second Life is a bit limiting, so if you only apply that, you end up with a more default-looking terrains or landscapes.
And here you've got one of the Delta Nile?
Yes. This one is an example of one of our ready-made terrains. It's really interesting for us because when we started making these terrains that are ready to be used by anyone and listed in our showroom, we went for the ones that push the envelope in terms of creating terrains. So we have fantastical-looking terrains that are never seen in real life. But we noticed early on that the demand actually is much higher on the terrains that are based on a real-life geography, like in this case, which is the River Delta in Egypt.
Yeah, I noticed you also had some that looked like rabbits and recognizable sort of features and all that sort of stuff. Now, you also do avatar design for customers and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that. I've got a picture I'm just trying to scroll through and find. Here we are, of doing avatar customization, where you take a photograph of a real-life person and try and get as close to as possible an avatar that represents them.
Yes, this is one of the services that we're particularly skillful at because we've done it several times. In this case, the client on the left is a CEO of Spaghetti in Netherlands, and they had to do an in-world announcement about their company and their IT development. So they provided us high-resolution images, and based on that, we created these custom avatar for him, basically including skin, the shape, the hair, and the clothes as well. The woman on the left is a lot like you, Paisley. She's a performer, musician. She's also an actress in the Netherlands, and she's expanding her music into the Second Life platform. So she came to us. We did this in collaboration with SLCN Head, and that's basically one of the results.
It's interesting, isn't it, that some people want to come in and look identical to their real selves, and then others want to come in and look completely different. For example, you've got the set of armour on the front of the stage here. If you were advising someone to come into Second Life and they asked your opinion on that, would you suggest that they came in looking just like they do in real life, or as something completely fantastical?
I always prefer when our client explores a bit more of their imagination and doesn't want to just replicate something that exists in the real world. We can do it. It's easy for us if they just have images of buildings or photographs or clothes. We can do it. It's straightforward for us. But as content creators, we're much more excited when someone has a concept that does not exist in real life. In the case of the custom avatars, they didn't really want to be exactly like themselves in real life. What they wanted is an avatar that is a good representation of their real selves, but looks better.
Yes. I guess that's really common. Tell us about the suits of armour down the front. You make clothes and sell them on OnRes, and SL Exchange, and these wonderful suits of armour as well.
Yes. I'm glad you brought it up because we got started up creating these armors for a client who wanted historically precise replicas of his own real-world armors, because they do a reenactment of the War of the Roses in Germany once a year. Now, to save time in terms of their strategizing and meeting and flying all over Europe, they wanted to be able to do it first in Second Life. So our first line of armors are actually very precise because they're based on images and textures that were derived from the actual plates and armors that he provided us.
They're beautiful.
So yeah, what you see here is my colleague Rodian is actually wearing the Italianate harness, which is a 14th century design by a Milanese blacksmith, I think.
And the other one looks like something out of Conan the Barbarian.
That one is it's also based on a real armor from a museum, but I don't think it's historically accurate because they took a bit more liberty in terms of making it presentation friendly. So.
And you also provide offices and builds for your clients as well. And you've got a display there of them. I've just got a picture up here of one of them.
Oh, let me go check that out really quickly. Yeah, we also design. We lean towards more minimal modern designs because we like it, and we like being able to create structures that are as much as possible low in prims, because that's quite a challenge when you're building in Second Life, especially some of our clients who have small parcels and limited prims in their land. So they want something that looks nice, but at the same time it wouldn't use up all of their prim limits.
So really what you're doing is you're making you're helping the clients in a lot more integrated way than a lot of companies are, perhaps, by providing a lot of these individual services.
Yes, I think you mentioned that in the beginning how there's a bit of a friction in terms of the large metaverse development corporations and Second Life or Linden Labs. And you mentioned that, Avatrian being smaller, what makes us different. And I think in our case, I would be able to say that we're much more integrated into the community. We didn't go out and produce content seeking out non-SLO users to begin with. We were actually very, very involved in the Second Life community at first. We had a lot of friends, and we are heavy users of the platform even before we became developed. So I think that's sort of the slight difference, because when we produce something in Second Life, I do feel like we understand who's going to be using it and why it's important for them to have this particular virtual object or 3D model created.